everybody to the He Said, She Said, That Said podcast. This is your host, Kelly, and,
This is Jessica Guillon,
we're doing a little podcast here. It's going to be our first episode.
and we are super excited to do this together. That's my little brother, Kelly.
Yeah, I got my older sister here. We're gonna bring some good vibes, some funk.
Mhm.
We're like we're just the people who are seeing the American government right now, seeing how politics is going. We want to give our opinion on things. We want to talk about this. 'Cause I think it's important to have a perspective on stuff from like a more generalized point of view. None of us are professionals when it comes to politics. None of us took this on as a career path, and we
No,
feel passionate about this topic.
we definitely feel passionate about it. We also from different generation, which is really nice. I'm a little older. I'm in my late 30s, and he's in his mid 20s. So
Hmm.
it would be nice to see each other's perspective of things and like what we agreed and disagreed on, and just talking. Just remember, guys, this is our opinion.
Hmm.
We are not professional. I had a psychologist degree. He has a
A business administration degree.
So this is not in our ballpark, but we feel like our voice count, and we want to, I feel like people need this, and we just want to talk because we're very frustrated.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and to add to that, we just want to clarify we're not the news. We know we don't never claim to be the news. If we use statistical information, we'll try to make sure we source it with an actual article. You may hear some videos. It's gonna be purely audio based, so you won't be seeing our faces, but you will be hearing the videos we play for you guys, so you can know like what we're talking about. And then we use numbers. We'll be sure to source the article as well as having it in the description of the YouTube video as well, so you guys can read up on it yourselves.
of course, and if you guys have any comment, please be kind,
Yeah.
and let us know where we, like I said, this is our opinion, but where we can, ask certain things or our point of view could have been, clarified better. But this is what we do on a regular basis, and we decided to just put it out here because we feel like we have really good conversations, and yeah, why not?
Yeah, yeah. I want to add something as well. It's a bit of a discrepancy for the first episode, but I hope you guys can bear with us. We're hoping to have episodes out every Thursday and Sunday. We're hoping to have full episodes out on Sundays, about an hour to an hour and 30 minutes long. Depending on how long this recording is, will be our barometer for our full long episode. And then we're hoping to have mini episodes up on Thursday. But it's going to be a little bit change this time around just because we are having elections by Tuesday next week. Right now, as of recording, it is October 29th, so we're on Tuesday right now. So you got 7 days left until recording. So elections. So I hope you guys are, have registered to vote and you guys are ready to vote. I think New York and today's the last day to vote. So those are registered to vote. So if you're not registered to vote yet, make sure you do it now before, you aren't able to, you still do your congressional, so do our local district and make sure that we get people we need to get in those positions, right?
Of course, because we don't want to just sit on the sideline and complain. We want to make sure we have like, our voices being heard, and whether we don't like the changes that's happening as quick as are they happening, there are changes, and we do have we have a choice. So let's
Yeah.
make sure we make our voice being
Yeah,
heard.
and just to add some more context to the layout of this podcast, before we get into the topics, we are both New Yorkers. We lived here the majority of our lives. We both have been through politics for a long time in our experience. We both talk to each other all the time about politics. We go for like 4 or 5 hour long calls, just talking about politics and talking about our perspective on things. Now that Donald Trump has been, our president elect for the last 12 years, he's been everywhere. So
Literally
yeah,
12 years.
yeah. So we have to deal with this for a long period of time. And I'm just happy we can move forward with this. He's been around since like the Obama era. He was around during Mitt
Yeah,
Romney's
yeah,
trying to run for that as well, and he thankfully lost that run.
yeah.
But he came back unfortunately. But we want to keep it mellow. It's gonna be casual politics. Maybe we'll bring up other topics as well. Maybe movies we watch, so to just kind of keep it mellow. We'll try to make it as positive as we can and try to show the good things of life. But we will get a little dark sometimes. We will get serious. We will get a little bit more real. The good thing is that none of us are sponsors. None of us are going to be coattailing it. So if something happens with Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, they say something good or bad, we're going to acknowledge those things. That's how we could be fair with things. We're going to be personal about it as well because we both personally don't like Donald Trump. So obviously we have an inherent bias towards that. But I don't think that makes it that skews us away from being earnest about our talking points.
And we don't want to say we don't like Donald Trump because we don't know him personally. What we say we don't like Donald Trump is meaning we don't like his politics, we don't like what he stands for, and we don't like the people that are voting for him what they stand for. So yes, that's
Okay.
what we're saying
I think
because
that's
we don't
fair.
know him personally. Maybe he's a fun person to be around,
I don't know. If you're
but
inviting like Nick Fuentes, like a white supremacist, I don't know. To your dinner parties, I can't.
exactly. I
I
mean
can't.
that I also want to say I have a daughter, so this whole situation for me is very personal.
Yeah.
So I might get a little bit more emotional sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's our opinion and it's our podcast.
Like Jessica said earlier, be nice in the comments section. If you have any comments you want to bring, any articles you want to bring up to these topics, please add them. Our hope with the mini podcast after the full one is for you guys to bring up topics and questions that we can tackle the next episode so that we can kind of, give you guys a chance to be a part of the community and give your thoughts on this. Just to clarify one more time, we are the He Said, She Said, They Said podcast, and we're hoping to have a good time. Ready to get started?
Yes.
All right. So our first topic is going to be, the media focus on Obama's comments towards black men. He had a speech a couple weeks ago on October 11th, I believe, where he talked to where he was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, kind of campaigning for Kamala Harris, and he was talking to black men, and he made a comment that we're going to play over for you guys. We're going to play a little video. It's about a minute long. For the sake of brevity, we have sped it up by 1 minute, 1.5 speed increase, just to make it a little bit more concise overall. So we'll let the video play. It's going to be all audio based. You guys won't see anything, but you will hear his voice. We'll play it out, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And I think anybody you are talking to in a barbershop, anybody you are talking to in your house, in your family, at a church, who is coming with that kind of attitude, I think you have to ask them, well, how can that be? Because the women in our lives have been getting our backs this entire time.
So that's a small little clip, about a 1 minute clip going over Obama's comments, the one that was kind of controversial in media. I'll just get the floor to kind of start off.
My first thought about this is like, that's a group of people that he needs to talk to. He's a black man that grew up in America.
Yeah.
Like, he can relate. He's not a man that comes from millions. He's, low middle class family, or however he consider himself to be. But he can relate to us, so he can talk to our men, and he knows why we speak on the dining room tables. Like, he knows our flaws, he knows our weakness, and he just bringing it out and being honest about it and stating, this is what I feel is happening because she's overqualified. There's any other reason. Obviously, human, we are four individuals. Like, we not gonna have all rainbows and unicorns. Like, we live life and we make mistakes and we've tried to fix them to better ourselves. So even the saying that, but compared to the other person that she's running against, like, this should not be a race being so close. So the only way he can understand why the race is being so close is because other things are playing to it, like her race, like her gender. Of course. And I do not understand why the media wanted to tell him, like, oh no, you cannot talk to your people like that.
Yeah.
He's frustrated.
Yeah.
Right? We supported him.
And just to add to that, I think with the media comment, most medias were kind of spinning it as he's trying to coax or goat black men into voting for Kamala because she's a Democrat. How do you feel about that idea? Like, he's trying to goat black men just to vote Democrat because they're black.
I'm sure, and I'm gonna speak on my mind, that Obama loves this country, right? And he understands what's at stake right now, right? And he understands the improvement that we have created. Like, we moving forward, obviously is snail like, but he understands that if the other person comes around, a person that was even there to say goodbye to him when he well, no, he was there. Donald Trump was there for him to say bye to him. But during the transition, even you can see when he's shaking his hand.
He had to go there to get
he shake his hand. He wasn't even shaking his hand the way.
And with Donald Trump's era during 2020, when we didn't have a peaceful transfer of power, where he didn't show up to shake Joe
Biden, Joe Biden. So he didn't go there. So he understands what kind of person this man is, right? Like, he has secret files of him, no more information of him that we know about, that they secrets that we will probably never know.
Yeah.
So he understands what's at stake, and he can
And he lived that.
he lived that.
Hmm.
Like, this is a man that make him show his birth certificate.
Yeah.
Like, the first time ever a president has to show their birth certificate was our African American president.
And after he already had 2 terms, there was no reason to do it. He wasn't going to run again.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Just to embarrass him,
Mhm.
just to minimize him because
Right.
of his name, because his religion belief. Isn't America based on freedom of religion?
Yeah. And expression
And
and
it's,
like,
yeah,
cultural diversity,
exactly.
especially in New York. New York is,
And
yeah.
he was mocking him like, you got to show your birth certificate. Me personally, I didn't agree that Obama showed it, but I understood why he did that.
Mhm.
Did it. So he I feel like he trying to do that. He's trying to tell people like, listen,
Mhm.
you need to vote. This is not a time to sit around and think about, things cannot get no worse. Things can get worse.
Mhm.
We can lose this. Things that we all work, immigrant, not immigrants, we have all worked for this country, because we can have a lot of disagreement, but we all love this country. Whether you come from another country or anything like that, this country was made for people like us, immigrants,
Yeah.
and people that look different.
Well, it was created by immigrants.
Exactly, because the only people that can come and complain is the Native Americans, right?
Right.
Those are the only ones that can be like, "Y'all go home, because this is our home."
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I feel like, yeah, he was doing that. He was definitely telling people like, "You gotta vote Democrat." Like, I don't think he's gonna talk to people to
Yeah.
vote for Republican, and I think that at this time is needed.
Yeah. And just to add, we are both Black people. We're
Yes.
both Black. We're both Caribbean. We have, Haitian, Dominican ancestry in our blood. And I want to just say, as a fellow brother who was talking to directly too, I don't think he was misstepping in anything he said. Said that because we didn't get to play the other part, 'cause it's a very long-winded speech. He talks for a long period of time and very slowly, so we didn't want to bore you guys with the entirety of it. But summarize the earlier part, he said that, like, when you have someone like Kamala Harris, who has gone to the same schools you have gone to, who has lived the same experience you have lived through. Kamala Harris said multiple times during her speeches that she had lived in a middle class home with only one parent, her mother being involved, a younger sister, having to go through all these kind of like, similar boundaries, working in McDonald's, having all these jobs, like,
Taking care of her mom when her
yeah,
mom got cancer,
yeah,
being an AKA, like,
yeah, being a part of,
mhm,
so like Howard University, being at
mhm,
Howard University,
mhm.
so I want to just like add to that, like, from what I understand about Obama, he's not trying to be little black man when he makes this comment. He's
Mm-mm.
trying to put all of us in the same sector and be like, hey, what are we doing here? Because we're going to read over later, but there has been a decline in Kamala Harris support of black men. It's gone lower than any other support since Obama's era. It was higher for Hillary Clinton, it was higher for Joe Biden. Why is it lower now for Kamala Harris, right? And I think that's what Obama's trying to get to the root of. That's one of his perspectives, one of his observations. He's allowed to make observations because he's a black man. Like this said before, he's talking to his fellow brethren. Um, I know a lot of black media now, like Roland Martin Unfiltered, Native Land Podcast, they kind of want to shift the blame more towards white women. They're like, hey, why are we not punishing white women for voting so much for Donald Trump? And it's true. It's kind of like we have to be honest with ourselves. If Donald Trump wins the election, it will be primarily due to the actions of white men and women. It'll be their responsibility for them causing this man
One
to become
hundred
president.
percent. 100%. Do not come out for my black women, black ladies, and do not come out for my black men.
Yeah.
It's on white people only.
Yeah, I would say majority wise, because people are going to vote for Donald Trump, but they're the ones who hold the power to really elect a president, because they're 44%, the 44% percentile, them being the majority race, they have a lot of voting power.
For now.
They have a lot of voting. I won't comment on that. They have a lot of voting power. So I want to make this clear that even though I agree with Netherland Podcast and Roland Marr Unfiltered that that is a problem. Why are Donald Trump had his campaign in 2016 when he talked about grab women by the pussy. All these horrible things came out about him, how he treated women. The fact that he had 3 divorces and had 3 different wives. They called him baby mamas. All the stuff going on. Multiple children from different mothers. People say he's a Christian president. He shows family values, but he doesn't really show them at all. He
Can I even hold a Bible properly?
can't hold a Bible properly. Doesn't really see his kids that much. When asked on a podcast about like how does he care about his kids, you can't really answer that question at all. He just kind of fumbled and talked about how they just take care of themselves basically. Like, so
And how beautiful his daughter is.
right. So yeah, and he had all kind of violence and aspect of his own daughter. It's very disgusting comments he makes. I just want to like kind of hammer it in that like this shows that even though he makes all these comments, his voting percentage for white women only increased 2020. It showed through those 4 years of him being misogynistic, horrible, disgusting person. People still wanted to vote for him, and it increased with white women. So I feel like if your grievance is white women should vote more for Kamala Harris, and that's what Obama should talk about. Keep in mind that he's not a white woman.
Mm-hmm.
This would be a lot more. It would hit harder for white women if it's a white woman telling them that they're doing the wrong thing, like a Gretchen Whitmer, like a Hillary Clinton going out there and talking to them directly and telling them, "Hey, we need to vote, for our right to the person." So that's one thing I do want to comment on that part. I feel like Obama, he kept it to his own playground. He kept it to men and black women, black men specifically, because those are the people that he can really speak to as a black man himself, as a man himself. So I want to make sure people understand that part as well. That's my perspective on things.
Yeah, in the media, we are not gonna take it because I know you laying the book part.
Yeah.
I know you're trying to say when something goes south that the black man it be because of the black man. Because I know you guys love to finger point.
Mhm.
But this time it's not gonna go around.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't matter if 20% of black men vote for Donald Trump, which I'm praying to God that that's not the case. But if that's the case,
Yeah.
it's still not a fault.
I believe the number now is like 14%.
Yeah, let it be whatever percent y'all want it to be,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't know who y'all doing this polling with.
Yeah.
Because I never been called for a poll. Have you been called to be? No.
Not at all.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I just want to say that.
Yeah.
You guys are not gonna get away with it.
Yeah, and I want those statistics here as well. So I have an article here that I will be linking in the YouTube description. Hopefully, I can link it also in the other podcasts I upload this to. So we have a article from Newsweek that was uploaded on October 12th. That was the day after Obama's Pittsburgh speech, where they get statistics. I'm wrong about it being 14%. Actually, it's a little higher than that. And I'll read over it right now. So we have the different percentages of how black men were voting during the times of Obama and Hillary Clinton's campaign. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it out for you right now. So it shows here that as of right now, Harris's support with black men has actually decreased because now it's 48%. And it shows that 15% of Republicans are nominating Donald Trump. So 15% of those black men are registered Republicans, and they're going to vote for Donald Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Newsweek shows. And then if we look at CM, CBC, NBC News, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Look at NBC News that was uploaded on November 4th. It shows different percentages of how, November 4th of 2020. So it was a couple years ago, but it was during like Joe Biden and Donald Trump's, I guess the day before the election,
Mm-hmm.
where it showed the percentage support as well. So it's similar to what we're going through right now when it was Joe Biden's turn. It shows that during Barack Obama's campaign in 2008, 2012, the percentage of black men were about, um, it was 95% of black men voted for Donald Trump. Sorry, voted for Barack Obama,
Mm-hmm.
and 90% of black women voted for Barack Obama. And it shows about what Obama said earlier, where he said, women always support us, where black women are the most supportive of Democrats in the entire every single sector, every single racial group. It's always been black women who have shown the most support towards Democrats, right? And
Since we was allowed to vote.
since we were allowed to vote, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it shows that when Hillary Clinton took over afterwards, 2016, her voting percentage went down from a 95 to an 82, so it had gone down a little bit. And then with Joe Biden, it went to an 80, right? And now we have Kamala Harris, who is now a 74, right? So it goes from like Hillary Clinton, who had the 82, now going down to 74, which is a lot. That shows like it shows that there's a lot of independent voters who are still out there to get, because only 15% of those of that 20-ish percentage. So it's still a number to get from that, but it does show a decrease, right? And I think that's what Obama wanted to get to the meat of, right? So that just shows numbers there to kind of at least justify a bit of Obama's stance on
And
it.
he's allowed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's a political figure
Mm-hmm.
who is black and a man,
Yeah.
African American as well as a male. So he's allowed to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I don't want to harp too much on this point because I feel like what media really took from this is the media really tried to, like Jessica said, they're trying to make black men a scapegoat. I think they took Obama's words and they used it to fuel their own agendas. Where a lot of them were like,
Like
hey,
always.
yeah, because when I showed Jessica the clip before, she was like, what do you mean? This is all he said? Because the way media kind of spun it was more like he was trying to be like he really went in on black men, like trying to make them seem like they're all misogynistic. But it was more like him just trying
Like talking down on black men.
exactly. But he's just trying to come up with a rationale as to why black men are so opposed to Kamala Harris.
Not black men. Why are some
Black men,
Yes.
exactly. Some black men are so opposed to Kamala Harris, but we're so willing to help other groups during the last couple elections, right? So I feel like those things are important. It shows double standards in America. The fact that we can have a president electee who had been found to be a part of Epstein's list, who is a convicted, civilly liable sexual assault rapist. We can have this guy. We can have this guy, run as a, neck and neck with Kamala Harris, poll wise. I don't believe in the poll. I don't believe the polls are neck and neck. I believe that there is some skewing going. I believe there's a lot of Republican poll outsters going out and really skewing the vote. But
it feels close.
It feels even with that, it still feels close. And most elections were. I'm a little shocked, but I learned recently that the Mitt Romney and Obama election that was close. Like statistically, that I think Obama had like a 4% lead. When I was a kid, because that happened when I was in middle school. I felt like Mitt Romney was getting his ass beat. But apparently, he lost the first debate. Obama lost the first debate. Apparently, there was there was a lot of skewity there. But he ended up still winning by a lot, right? So I just want to show that even though it is close, the best thing you can do is just vote.
Just vote, guys. Just vote. Vote. If it's too late to do early voting, you're just gonna have to go. Get in line and vote.
Yeah.
If they're not giving you water, that's okay. Just vote.
Yeah, well, and I think with that, those are tactics they're using in order to make people not want to vote. Them removing water, making people have to force to bring their IDs with them in order to vote. Like those are ways they're trying to make minority people who can't afford, to get a new ID, not go and vote. Like those are tactics.
Or maybe those so-called poll washers are they having to intimidate us, but we cannot let them intimidate us, right? They the one that are scared of us. Obviously, all the things that they do, they are showing us that they're the ones scared of us. So they should definitely not intimidate us.
Yeah.
You can look them right in the eyes and be like, what are you going to do? We are here to vote, and this is what we're going to do. We are legally able to vote, and we are going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important that we keep it all legal. We keep it all, cordial, respectful.
Exactly. But that's something that we can do, right? We can always do that because we always have shown the highest standards because they're allowed to do all these things to us, and we have to be the one that, right? Like Michelle Obama said before, if they go low, we go high. But she said this time around, if they go low, we're gonna go a little low too.
Yeah, we're gonna keep the same level.
Yeah, we're gonna keep the same energy, right? Okay.
All right, I think we should move to the next topic.
Okay.
What is our next topic?
So our next topic is going to be about the media coverage of public scrutiny on Donald Trump. I just want to be. I just also want to, be a little understand. The media has a really big task to do, correct? Because this is a person that I want to be honest. Yesterday, I was trying to hear his speech that he did on Madison Square Garden, and out of nowhere, I just start itching. I feel like I had an allergic reaction to his bullshit. Literally, my body was like, no. Like I just started cleaning. I just started doing other things. Like couldn't sit there and hear this man. Like I couldn't understand what he was saying. Like I was trying to really listen to him because I wanted to get a perspective from him so I can criticize him, but in a fair way. And I couldn't listen to more than 20 minutes because it just like it's just too much. You can see that this person is not right. Right. He's going through a lot of mental things. Right. I'm not trying to psychoanalyze him, but he is not right. So I do want to say that I understand the media has a hard thing to do, but the media also are professionals, right? Journalists who make money for a living, a lot of money. and who people count on them to do the right thing. We failed
To be honest.
last time, right? Because we did not know how to deal with this, right? Because American politics is so rigid, right? Like people lie, but not lie right in our faces. They sugarcoat it. If it's 5%, we will say 2%. So it's not fully lie; it's a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like a
And to
little
be
white
fair,
guy.
Kamala Harris also lies, but she does.
Everybody,
Yeah.
it's politics.
Mhm.
They're all gonna lie, right?
Yeah.
We just have to take the best, right?
Yeah.
To see us moving a little forward more. She's not gonna take us to the finish line. That's not
Yeah.
what she's promising.
Yeah.
She's a politician,
Yeah.
right? We can take that on her word, but she's gonna try to do her best that she can do as a politician, right? So I'm trying to give a little grace here for the media, but the media is just like we are giving him free promotion again. He don't really have to spend much money on advertising because we are giving it to him.
Mhm.
We are constantly saying this thing. Oh, Donald said this racist thing. Let's get on breaking news. Like we know he's a racist.
Right.
Like, don't give us things that we already know.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna do a little pushback because so just to kind of clarify a little bit more, we both watched Donald Trump's Madison Square Gardens rally he did yesterday. Well, actually, I think it was probably on Monday he did it, or
No, he did it Sunday. So we
Sunday.
watched it yesterday,
So
Monday.
he did it on the 27th of October, right?
Yeah.
I think I watched a total of 45 minutes of it until I had to give up. So we're not gonna criticize the entire speech because we frankly haven't watched it.
No, we couldn't. I only watched 20 minutes, like I said, and I started breaking out in high.
But like I said, this is all casual. I think it's more authentic that way. We don't claim to be journalists. No, we report like journalists. But from like a person who is a voting party, I can vote and I plan on voting. If Donald Trump wanted to earn my vote, he did not do it with that bullshit speech. He didn't. Um, I think to echo my sister's thoughts on this, the media. I do think there are more things to worry about. Like one example with the racist comment that I was before you in. Was it necessary for the media to talk about, Kamala being black for 2 weeks? Was that really necessary for them to kind of like inflate and like when Kamala Harris did her speech did her interview with Dana Bash at CNN, right? And she told them, next comment, same old playbook. That should have been the end of it. But we have other white reporters, other white journalists who go to Kamala Harris after the same exact question. Like, how do like it was even a talking point during the presidential debate. Like, why do we care about like her being black and like it's blatantly obvious that Kamala Harris is black. We know her mother, we know her father. Like we know her mother's Indian, we know her father's
By
Indian.
looking at her.
Yeah, you can tell.
What do you think? You look at Kamala, you be like, she's a white girl.
Yeah.
No, we know she's black.
Yeah.
Okay, nobody has confused black people.
Yeah. So I feel like in that way, and just to kind of clarify, Jessica's anger is not towards the audience; it's towards the media. Because I do feel like he's being a little condescending, so we want to simmer it down a little bit. But just to clarify, Jessica's anger is not towards us.
No.
It just shows the own frustration we have.
For the
Obviously,
media,
a black woman, so he knows a lot of those comments Donald Trump makes when he calls her dumb, when he calls her low IQ, when he says that she's not qualified. Those are just
when he don't say her name correctly.
Yeah, Kamala.
Yeah, Kambula.
Yeah. So like he's trying to say these buzzwords to like so only the racists understand his words. Like obviously we know because we've been through this already. We know how systemic racism works for us as black people, and we know when they mean he's dumb. It doesn't mean like, oh, he's black. We don't mean like, oh, he's not taking seriously. We know he's black. So like those are just ways that they say things in a lighter tone to not say the racist parts out loud, but we know it's being racist.
She's too angry. She got too angry.
Right. They called her. Didn't Donald Trump at one point call her like called her like a bullshit president, something like that. He said like a lot of things about vice president. So he made a lot of comments about her in general. But let's keep it to the focal point of the conversation about media and how you Donald Trump. I do think I wish I had the clip for Sean Maine when he talked to Cooper Anderson.
Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, Anderson Cooper about they talked about it in CNN where Sean Maine was like, yeah, you guys are like it's not the same race. Where like Kamala Harris had to do everything flawlessly, and Donald Trump was able to kind of skate by and say these horrible things, and it only in the media for about a couple days, right? Where like I agree with that. But to add to Jessica's point earlier, when she said when we were listening to the speech, it's so much stuff happening at once in like in that hour and 30-minute speech that like it's kind of hard to be able to kind of concise that so that the viewing party will be comfortable watching it, right? Because like there's so many lies, so many contradictions, so much like dead air. Like how do you properly explain it to American people where they feel like they're learning and they're not feeling like they're being lectured about something, you know?
Mhm.
So that's what like my fear right now with this podcast, you know. I want to criticize Donald Trump. I want to criticize him in a way that still people can still gain something from it, and they
Mhm.
don't feel like it's just being talked about like some. 'Cause I know a lot of people already know that, like in our politics, we have a lot of people who are already racist. You know, we have a lot of people in our groups who don't like black people, who want black people to not succeed in our world. So what's Donald Trump compared to those people? You know, he might as well be another cog in the machine.
Mhm.
But I think Donald Trump is worse because he kind of like brought people. He brought people from being uncomfortable to not being comfortable being openly racist. You
Mhm.
know, like it just shows you like his level of charisma, his level of kind of like villainy, evilness. It kind of just shows like he knows how to make those people want to be more expressive and if they're able to if they're willing to attack Capitol Hill in order to enact their cult leaders' grand plans. I don't see how they're not willing to attack us. During that, Donald Trump's infamous words saying he wants to have a really rough day where, like, officers have no liability, they can do whatever they want, like pretty much a day of purge.
Mhm.
Like, who's to say that we won't have another, like Kyle Rittenhouse who will go out and start shooting black people just because he wants to shoot black people and then
Or
get
lynch us in the streets.
right. So like we have people already out there who are doing these, social warrior activities where they're killing black people because they want to be protected. We had that one case where a black man was just jogging and he got shot up by two white men. Like it just if we have that one day of rough activity, it's not just gonna be cops killing people. It's gonna be regular civilians killing people as well.
Which they've been waining for,
Yeah,
right? Since the Civil War
which
to
they've been
do that.
waiting for, which they've been doing
So
already.
yeah.
But I want to be difficult to talk. I know I went off for a minute.
No, no, you can go because
Yeah.
I needed to cool down a little bit because it's true because it's taking it personal because it's like
Yeah.
but yeah, but it's just like we understand he's putting a lot of fume in there in the air. Just take the things that are very important and talk about it. Like don't talk about every little thing because
Yeah.
we really don't care about every little thing. He already showed us who he is, right? We need the important things, the things that are really gonna affect us, the things that are really gonna touch us lives. Like let's talk about what he did with the separation of the immigrants and their kids. Like talk about that. Like
Yeah.
do a little research. Like what happened to those kids now? What's going on? Like how many percentage of those kids were reunited with their family? How many percentage wasn't? Let's talk about a little bit more about Donald Trump giving masks during COVID
Yeah.
to Putin. Well, doctors and
COVID
nurses,
kids.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, COVID kids and
Mm-hmm.
a mask, right?
I don't know if we get
You can
masks,
mask.
but
Okay, so
yeah, I know COVID kits are confirmed. I
okay,
don't know if we
okay.
get masks, but I know we
Okay,
get COVID kits.
kids where doctors and nurses was dying
Yeah,
during that
American
time.
citizens were dying.
Right, everybody. So let's talk about things like that
Yeah,
we know happening. Not what he's saying. Let's talk about what he did.
yeah,
So people can because we tend to have a little bit of amnesia, like we forget things
yeah,
and like we like when he says like, oh, I'll be better there 4 years now than 4 years ago. Like 4 years ago I was in my house.
yeah,
I couldn't get out. My husband has to be the one to go outside and do the grocery stores. He has to come to the side door,
yeah,
change his clothes, go downstairs, take a shower to come upstairs so we will be able to interact with my asthmatic child.
yeah,
Like I was scared to death
yeah,
4 years ago. Yes, I'm better off now,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I don't forget that because I remember the fear that I had every time I heard I live very close to a highway. Every time I heard a siren or something,
yeah.
like who in my neighbors is going now?
Every time you heard those deaths, because
Yeah,
so we had like what, like almost 500,000
yeah.
American deaths in 1 year.
Like it was just going
Yeah,
up and no
yeah,
quotas on that. We're gonna look it out and probably post it down because we don't know how many deaths we had, but
yeah.
we had a lot.
No, I think it was over 500 million.
It was
500,000.
scary. It was scary. So let's talk about those things. Let's not talk about what he's showing us now, doing his little magic trick.
Yeah,
Let's talk about what he did. What he
yeah,
did with the Supreme Court. Why Obama was not able to put his Supreme Court because it was too late, 40 something days before his term. But Donald Trump was able to do it
yeah,
right in short terms. So let's talk about those things, like impact that he had on his on the laws he signed in, all the judges he put in court. Let's talk about that.
yeah,
Like let's not focus about his little magic because that's all he wants us to focus on and be involved in all what he's talking about. Like
yeah,
all these little things that is like don't make any sense. Like yesterday I was hearing, I heard him say something about child tax credit. I got excited. I
yeah.
was like, wait, what he's gonna say? Because I'm like, I want to find something because we don't know who's gonna win. Like,
Right,
right?
right. We want to have some positive politics.
Exactly. I wanted to talk about that, but then he went on for something else about
Yeah,
immigrants and this and that, and I was like, can we please go back to what you're talking about? That you're just gonna, pass
yeah.
this tax credit for parents.
Can we
Like this.
finally hear the concept?
Yeah, can we hear this? Like I was begging him, like please, let's go back,
Yeah.
and he never went back.
No. And I want to add to that. I want to add to that. Like, so my whole thing with Donald Trump and like his like when everyone always says like because this is a Republican talking point. Are we better off 4 years ago than we are right now? Because people are talking about the economy, talking about inflation, and it is really expensive to buy groceries right now. You buy eggs at like $8 in New York now; they're really expensive.
Hmm.
But like Jessica said, 4 years ago, we had a epidemic, a huge pandemic going on where Donald Trump threw out Barack Obama's pandemic kit where he talked about how to properly go about handling a pandemic. If he had that kit, if he kept it around, he could have better be able to allocate things. He wouldn't have gone against Dr. Fauci's warnings about COVID. He would have respected those warnings. He wouldn't have gotten COVID himself. He wouldn't have he wouldn't have told people to go inject bleach into their veins in order to prevent COVID from happening, killing off all these people. It just shows some. I don't know if they didn't die or anything did it, but it could have caused deaths for sure. Um, I just feel like when people talk about the 4 years comment, if I'm a reporter and someone says 4 years ago it was better, I would be like, okay, 4 years ago we had a pandemic that killed almost 500,000 Americans. So many people, there were so many people who were bedridden in Florida, they had to bring their children to other states in order to get in hospital beds. It was crazy. It was crazy. Like I couldn't go to college. No one could go to work anymore. People were getting fired.
Hmm.
It just showed like the level of disparity and how our president at the time was grossly undermanaging it. Right? You know,
Telling us to drink bleach,
inject bleach,
MJ bleach.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, inject bleach into our veins in order to stop COVID. Like it's just like why would like that sounds so stupid that I don't even know how. Like, it just shows like why we even letting this guy have another chance at this, right? And after the coup de grace, even though it was technically 2022 when this happened, the coup de grace obviously is January 6th.
Hmm.
That's the coup de grace where like we really saw how cultish his real group is and how they're willing to do everything, even attack a fellow white man in order to get him back in office. So that has been it's something so far that has been done since the Civil War era.
Like, just imagine if that was like,
Successful.
yeah,
Hmm.
what would happen? Or just imagine if that was like Barack Obama.
Yeah. If Barack Obama sent his legion of black men to attack Capitol Hill, he wouldn't be allowed to leave a jail cell. He'd be in prison day one. He would have been impeached. He would have definitely been. He would have
And
been.
jailed.
No, but he would have definitely been
I mean,
impeached
of
because
course.
Donald Trump escaped impeachment twice. The first time I understood it 'cause it was more politically aimed with the whole Ukrainian stuff. It was
Hmm.
still a bad thing. He still broke presidential code and stuff. But the second time around, where we have video of people dying, they had officers like so many officers died, so many officers got injured. This whole like Republican thing about them, how they care about the law, how they care about their officers, and now they're like double standarding it because they care about Trump more. How Trump was told that his VP might die, and he's like, oh, who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah, he's like, that's not my problem.
That's not me. I'm in my room watching this.
And
Okay.
he's told, pleaded in order to get the National Guard involved to help the officers because they don't have military weapons at that point. They're not New York, they're not NYPD. They don't have it on them immediately. It just goes to show that he is not a serious man. The way Kamala said it, he's not a serious man.
And he's still he's head to head.
Head to head. Right now, some polls show Donald Trump winning. Finally, his lie about him, the polls showing he's up, they're starting to show fruit. He's been saying that since Kamala Harris entered the race, which was demonstrably untrue. Kamala Harris was dominating him for the last 4 years, three months. But now it's getting a little closer. I believe it's because Republican posters are overflowing the votes and adding those numbers in. Some people believe in different things. I think you look at the crowd side, you look at the amount of funding they got, the fact that Kamala was able to get 1 billion donations in only 2.5 months.
Hmm.
Like that's crazy. I know she inherited some of the donations from Joe Biden
Of
there,
course, of
but
course.
it still shows like she got like what 100,000 in only one day, like
Mhm.
48 hours. She got 100,000 like that. That just shows you the level of support
And
she has.
don't quote us on our numbers. We
No,
are not
I'm pretty sure that was accurate
okay.
because that
So
one
quote him on that.
that it's either 84,000 or it's 100,000, but it's one of the, but she was close
It's
to.
high out
Yeah,
there.
yeah, it broke records. It broke records for like modern day campaigning for sure.
Hmm.
Only one that was higher than that was when Donald Trump got convicted when he got
Oh,
convicted.
that
Yeah, he
he
got like
mugshot that he did the
no.
right.
Well,
No.
mugshot. I think mugshot was pretty high too.
Yeah, he did
But
a lot of
but I
money
think
on
when he got
that.
convicted in May, or I think it was May or June,
Hmm.
he got a lot of donations when he got convicted.
Yeah.
When he got convicted for the for the fraud he was doing,
Mm-hmm.
the Trump Tower fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And he got a lot of money that time. He got like so much.
With Letitia James.
Yeah, Letitia
Okay.
James.
Okay.
So yeah. I feel like when it comes to media, I get that there's a lot of stuff to talk about, and it gets kind of boring because like this guy be breaking laws every 5 minutes. This guy, he is the American thug. He wants to live a black man a thug, but he's the biggest thug in America.
Mm-hmm.
He's the biggest thug. He's like he just loves to break laws. He loves to not be accountable for anything, and to some extent, I don't know why he wouldn't be. This person went to Arlington Cemetery, assaulted his staff, allegedly assaulted a worker there. They got their pictures and they dipped. A place where they can't take pictures. They have photographic evidence of them breaking the law, and none of them are none of them are being like reprehended for their actions. They,
That was like a 20-minute story.
yeah. Like it was around for a couple days. But like it just showed like why would he be against why would he be afraid of law and order when he breaks the law so blatantly and no one stops him?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't pay any of his bills when it comes to doing indoor vending. That's why he had to do outdoor vending and almost
Mm-hmm.
got killed for it when the shot happened in Pennsylvania. Thankfully I'm glad he survived. No, I wouldn't want him to die from that. I want him to lose a black woman so he can
Mm-hmm.
know how it feels. You know, I just it just frustrates me that this guy breaks so many laws and he never gets reprehended for it.
Why is that?
I, honestly, I think if he never been president, he probably would never have to worry about any of these laws he broke coming to fruit. I think him being so prevalent in the media made him become a little bit more of like now you have to be accountable for actions because you're making them so obvious. Kind of like the whole thing with Eric Adams, where Eric Adams' actions were so obvious. They're like, we have to indict you. You've been doing you going to Turkey every 5 minutes. I was like, come on, what are we doing here? So I feel like that's kind of what's going on there.
Like he broke 1,000 laws, so it's like, oh, let's take a couple
Hmm.
and let's just like make you pay for them.
We have Elon Musk who's also doing like allegedly doing forms of fraud where he's not forms of fraud but forms of like forms of like voter interference where he wanted to give $1 million raffle to people who voted because they support the First Second Amendment. Like he didn't say vote for Donald Trump, but he's very like those are very skewed toward Republicans. For those who sign a petition that support the First Second Amendment, I'm going to give a raffle and you might win $1 million. You can't incentivize somebody to vote and give them money for it. That's from what I understand, that's voter interference. And this guy got like a little slap on the wrist, like, hey, if you don't stop this, that's 5 years in prison. And he finally stopped.
Of course, he's a billionaire, trillionaire, whatever he is.
Yeah, I think he's a billionaire. I don't think he's a trillionaire. I
Not
don't think
yet,
so.
not yet, but he's getting there because he's
Yeah,
he's doing rockets, and that's where the money's
yeah.
at.
He's doing rockets with our tax dollars.
Yeah.
He's not even paying for himself.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to take too much of it. Any final talk points on like media and how they're like how they're navigating around Trump?
They just need to get it together
Yeah.
because Donald Trump is not going to be the last one.
Yeah, I want to clarify. We are 42 minutes in.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Donald Trump is not going to be the last one. What about talking about Joe Biden age? Can we talk about a little bit Donald Trump age?
Oh,
Can
yeah.
we emphasize a little bit about that? Because
Mhm.
look at Harris, she's 60, and you see
Yeah.
how she's looking.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about him falling asleep, doing
Mhm.
events,
Yeah.
not knowing what he's talking about,
Yeah.
like not knowing
Answering
who's
four
he
questions.
campaigning
Yeah.
against. Sometimes going back and forth. So yeah, let's
Yeah.
concentrate on other things. Like let's be a little more fair.
Yeah. Let's
But
let's be honest about
let's be honest.
it. Yeah.
Like let's think outside the box. Because right now we are outside the box.
Honestly, keep it to the box. I think outside the box is a little like I feel like there's enough talking points with him already that you can just talk about the obvious parts that he's saying and it will entice viewers to watch it. I think when they talk about Kamala Harris not being clear about her policies, when she's talking about her policies for the last month and a half, giving every route she goes to, she's doing another policy, whether it be helping the middle class, by giving them discounts on their first home payments. Like, look, she's doing all these things that are helping out people, businesses, giving them higher loans so they can actually make or higher grants so they can actually make business happen. Like these are policies that she's making, and people are like, "Oh, she's not clear about her policies." Like, what do you mean she's not clear about her policies? We just had Donald Trump, who was on a presidential debate, and he said he had concepts of a medical plan, of a medical benefits plan. When this guy, wanted to throw out the affordable health care, Obamacare, and had 8 years to come up with a medical, a plan to like replace that, and he came up with no plans.
Thanks to John McCain, God bless his soul, and
Yeah.
he really he you know he saved a lot of people, and I'm grateful for that for his family.
Hmm. Yeah. So I just want to make sure people understand that's how I see it. Obviously, the media had a lot to work off of. Like I said before, when we watched the Madison Square Garden a rally, it was a lot going on at once. It was a lot he was saying, talking about wanting to do capital punishment on migrants if they kill United States citizens, which I understand that some Americans want that because they think that anyone who kills should be considered capital punishment. But I just feel like, you're not a lawmaker. Kamala Harris is. Kamala Harris has worked in the Senate. She has worked as an attorney. She has knowledge of the law. Donald Trump is not he has no background, no academic background when it comes to law.
Mhm.
So this guy should not be talking about, what the law should dictate. He's telling you just trying to persecute people because of their race. This is the same guy who wants to, you're talking about I started no wars, but he wanted to start a war with Mexico in order to have them, against the drug cartels. He wanted to fight against the drug cartels, and that would have caused a huge
Mhm.
imbalance between us and Mexico. Especially when we're doing new trade deals with North America. It's just like what is he trying to gain by destroying America? Basically,
Mhm.
he's just trying to make he's trying to make all things we worked on like kind of go back to zero. So yeah, that's that topic. Anything you want to add before we move on to the next topic, Jay?
No, do a better job. That's all I want to say
The media,
to the
not to
media,
me.
not to you, not to the listeners, to the media.
All right. So our next topic is Kamala Harris' uphill battle in systemic racism/sexism. So I'll let you go again because I had the last talking point for this one.
No, you can go.
Okay, sure. So this is one of my topics I brought up. So uphill battle, right? So we can all agree that Kamala Harris is clearly being favored in some ways, but is being unfavored in others, right? I think in some ways we can argue she's being more unfavored than she's being favored, right?
Mhm.
Like Kamala Harris is doing 60 Minutes. She's doing all these new interviews. She's being
Mhm.
endorsed by so many political parties, like not political parties, but so many celebrities, like Taylor Swift, Beyonce.
Mhm.
We have now Usher doing it. We had Tyler Perry a couple days ago.
Mhm.
People are really starting to support, starting to support behind her.
Mhm.
But there's still this discrepancy where she's not winning the electoral college. I guess comfortably.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I just one reason why I want to bring this topic is because one of the things that are so simple, but I've noticed is that even when it comes to addressing her,
Mhm.
maybe it was something that she did on her own, but the fact that we call Trump Trump and we call Kamala Kamala to me is something that's like systemic in that way. Where we had the female president, even when it came to Hillary Clinton, we didn't call her Clinton or Madam Clinton, we called her Hillary. I know that her husband was president before, so we have two Clintons, but we never called the second Bush George. We called him Bush. We
Mhm.
called both of them Bushes,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So I want to keep that same energy, like I feel like that's one of the things that like so simple, but shows like our level of like I mean, how we like kind of discredit women in this country. Or why don't we call her Vice President Harris? Why we gotta call her
Yeah,
Kamala?
she's the vice president. She has a job.
Yeah,
She's working.
she has a job. She's an elected. We're gonna call Trump President Trump when he's former President Trump. We're gonna keep calling him President Trump. We have use titles on both ends. We can't just keep calling him Trump by his last name, showing respect, showing a form of like professionality, but then we calling Kamala Kamala. Kamala is a bit of a harder name to say. I won't lie; it's a little bit more of a hard name to say. Harris is not.
Mhm.
So this whole argument about like, oh, it's hard to say Kamala, call her by her professional name, call her by Madam Harris, or call her by Vice President Harris. Like like that's one thing I just wanted to bring up during this topic because I feel like that's something that showed a level of sexism. Some people would be like, oh, it's just a name, it doesn't really matter much, but it shows like a level of respect, right? Like I don't want when Kamala wins for her to be called Kamala when she's president of the United States. You know,
And that might happen.
we don't call Joe Joe when he's president. We call him Biden,
Mhm.
President Biden.
Mhm.
Some people make jokes about calling him Brandon or Dark
Mhm.
Brandon or whatever, but we call him by his last. We show like that level of decorum. When Obama won, we called him Obama. We don't call him Barack. No one called him Barack, right?
Mhm.
And both Barack and Obama are both kind of a little bit more difficult. They're not common names, right?
Mhm.
The same way Kamala is not a common name. In America, but other
Yeah,
parts of the world probably
we're
more
gonna say in
common in
America.
America. So I do think that's one thing I want to start off with. I want to hear your thoughts on that because you're a woman, so you can probably talk a little bit more. How do you feel about the idea that the media is calling her, or even everyone's calling her by her name, Kamala, and not really calling her Harris?
That shows you the type of respect they have for her, right?
Hmm.
Like they don't take us as serious as they should, right?
Hmm. Now, to push back a little bit, I know that like she kind of did a bit of that branding herself,
Mhm.
where the whole Mambala thing,
Mhm.
I feel like it's a little hard because I guess throughout her vice presidency, she had been called Kamala already. But I think when she was campaigning with Joe, they were already calling her Kamala. They weren't calling her Vice President Harris or Vice President electee Harris. They were just calling her Kamala. So I feel like that just kind of it's just hard. I feel for me it's hard because if I had a daughter who was going for presidency, if I had a sister or a mother going for presidency, I wouldn't want it to be disrespected in that way. Where it seems simple, so people aren't going to care about it. A lot of them are going to be like, "Hey, who cares?"
But we know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when they call her low IQ, when they say that she's not a high educated individual because she didn't pass the bar exam on her first try, like Trump had never tried. Trump had never done the bar exam.
Mm-hmm.
Trump, from what we understand, because this guy never publicly showed off his grades. From what we understand, like from rumors, he wasn't even that good of a student.
Exactly.
So like we have to really be.
But why are we insulting people that didn't pass the bar exam the first time?
Yeah.
The bar exam is so hard. We know what she was going through.
Exactly.
Like she passed it.
Yeah.
And so it's like why we have to focus on that?
Yeah. She
Like
passed.
why we focus on her and we're not focusing on him? Why we don't bring his records,
Yeah.
right?
Medical records.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She didn't have a mom that paid his way through college for her. Like she has to whatever she did was on her own merit, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's not fair. Again, going back to the media,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's a disservice to her.
Yeah, well, the media is the microphone of the entire world. So
Mhm.
whenever we're talking about, it goes back to the media because they're the ones who are really echoing these statements.
And that's they,
Mhm.
right? That's on our podcast. That's they.
That's the day. That's the he said, she said, they said. That's what
They
they said.
said, yeah.
Yeah, the media itself, what they echo, what they decide to highlight on in order to make this, they want to make it a horse race. They want to make it neck and neck because that's going to cause people to keep on going to news outlets. If Kamala's winning by like 10 points, which I don't think she is, like I feel like when it comes to Kamala Harris and how systemic, like even when it comes to like them not really like talking about her accolades, right? A lot of people, Republicans, will go on, Fox News, will go on CNN, they'll talk about how she's a quote unquote ding dong, how she's dumb, how she doesn't have a low IQ, how she's
Oh
not
my
that
God.
qualified, right?
That is so disrespectful.
I want Republicans, I want reporters who are on those, those interviews, those talking points, to be like, hey, here are her accolades. She was Attorney General. She was a senator. She's a VP.
Mm-hmm.
She has some of the highest credentials that any president has ever had in our modern day history.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you believe with these things she's underqualified?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, if you're just going to let them talk, like, I know when the ding dong comment happened, I don't remember who said that ding dong comment. When the ding dong comment happened, there were people who were pushing back saying, like, hey, why you think it's a good strategy calling her dumb? So I understand that that's a good talking point. But if I was there, I'd be like, okay, so you're calling her low IQ, or underqualified. What about these things that she did is underqualified? And what are things that Donald Trump has done that made him more qualified than her? Because from my understanding, um the only electoral like position that Donald Trump has ever had was president. He has not worked as a senator. He has not worked as a representative. He has not worked any form of governmental, positioning at all. Nothing that was electoral. He never worked with a governmental electoral position. Only thing he was elected to be was president. So to some extent, he's the most underqualified president we've ever had because he had no governmental position beforehand. He wasn't a senator like Obama was. He wasn't a attorney general like Kamala Harris was. He wasn't a vice president like Kamala Harris was, or like how Joe Biden was, right? So we want to keep those things in mind as well. He didn't work as a governmental position for like over 60 years, like Joe Biden did. Joe Biden worked all his life in the government, and that's something we have to respect. Like all Donald Trump did was bankrupt his companies, and use his daddy's money to keep on funding these new and dumber ideas. So I think we have to keep that same energy with Kamala Harris. Like if you
But we also want to give up to him, right?
yeah.
He has created a big name for himself, for his family, right? He's a wise businessman when it comes to certain things, like not paying his taxes,
Yeah.
right? Finding loopholes. But that's the point. Like he has created that, right? Like
But that's most billionaires. I feel like I feel like they all have those personal attorneys that do it for them.
no, it's of course, of course. But we also have to, we don't want to dismiss that, right? He found a way of trademark his name, right,
Yeah.
and use the Trump name for so many things
Yeah.
around the world. And anybody talk about the Trump, you know who
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
The Apprentice.
yeah, so he did that. His father didn't do that for him. He did that, right? So he's, in that sense, right?
Okay.
He's good at what he does, what he do. When it comes to the sense of like promoting his name, making a bigger name for his family than they are, promoting his asset. If he has 1 billion, he's gonna say he has 5 billions. Like, you know, which is it ethical? No. Is it fair? No. But he's doing it.
I will say that because you reminded me of something. I will say that Donald Trump is running this campaign like he is a businessman.
Mhm.
Like, you know, businesses always say, "Oh, we're number one in this, we're number one in that." Like he's over
Exactly.
embellishing,
Of
but like
course.
he's over embellishing as a president, and he's breaking laws without caring about it. And that's one thing I do feel like we as American people have to kind of push back on. We have to push back on the idea, like, why are we allowing the guy to blatantly lie to us and not pushing back on it? You know, like he's saying stuff like, you know, he helped black men during his presidency when there's no real evidence of that happening. You know, we have evidence with Joe Biden where he elected so many people of color to higher positions when he was only 4 years in, the same amount of time that Donald Trump had. Donald Trump talked about, you know, how America still had a migrant problem. He was president 4 years. Why didn't he start with his first 4 years?
Why did he build the wall that Mexico was gonna pay for?
Why did Mexico pay for it? You know, like these are things that we have to really think about. Like, you know, like we're giving Trump this we're giving Trump these talking points like he wasn't already president. Like
Hmm.
he didn't have time to
Like this is first time.
yeah, like
Like we already don't have that experience.
yeah, like what are we talking about? Like, and he has blatant he has the gall to make comments about 2020 when he was president about like there was corruption going on times when like yeah, you were president at the time. So you're making fun of these things making comments about these things being corrupt during your year as president.
Well, we
And
don't talk about his family, how they how they benefit so much of his presidency.
yeah, yeah, he was the only president who didn't like remove his assets when he was you know, because when you become president, you're supposed to remove all ownership of any companies you have. He didn't do that. He
Hmm.
gave it all to his kids so that they can benefit from it. And
Hmm.
he gained a really good profit. Whenever foreigners would come to visit him, he would always make them go to like Trump hotels, make them pay. And, like he wouldn't give discounts. He make them pay more money,
Money.
and he made a fortune out of this stuff.
Hmm.
He's making a fortune
Quid
now.
pro, whatever. Just how his family benefited from him being president, right?
Mhm.
We haven't seen that like that. But obviously, I'm pretty sure the family member benefit for every president, but this is out in the opening. He was hiring his kids
Mhm.
to do jobs that they were not even qualified, not even for the minimum to be
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, because they were all trying to be a part of politics. Yeah.
Exactly. And he never got a pushback. We never talk about that. We're not even talking about that now.
Yeah, I think
Like,
he's the only president who brought his kids into like maybe besides George Bush because his literal son became next president.
yeah.
But I think like he's the only president who really brought his kids into the fold and tried to implement them into his campaigns and stuff.
Because he was his presidency was like his company.
Yeah,
America was his company,
yeah,
and he was trying to see
and he was trying to
what he
bankrupt that too.
exactly. He was trying to bankrupt his company and see how much he get out of it
Yeah,
after he bankrupted to sell it back, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
That's a good point. I didn't think about like he
mhm.
literally had America as his company. Yeah.
Yeah, America was him. He was like, that's what he said. My Secretary of State, my Attorney General, my policemen, my like everything was his.
Yeah, yeah. They all hovered around himself.
Yeah.
Like whenever stuff happened that was good, he would never say, "Oh, you know, our senators really worked hard to get it done." Like, no, my senators did it. I did it. I actually was the one who echoed this and made it happen. I'm the one who signed it to law, so it was all me.
Nothing happened without me.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
he's the one man. Who does that remind you of?
Yeah, yeah,
Right? Like we can come up with a couple of names I can remind us of, like Hitler,
yeah, yeah,
right? Putin, his best friend,
yeah.
right? So
Hmm. Yeah, and like this is something that I also want to talk a little bit about Putin. Like we won't go into the Ukrainian war during this
mhm.
topic, but
No.
something about Putin is like it's so ironic now that Republicans are being flip floppy about like you know communism and like because you would think they'd be a lot more against Putin, but then we have people like you know Tucker Carlson going to Russia and being their you know useful idiot talking
Mhm.
about how the subways are so clean over there. You know they
Mhm.
have they have carts that you put coins into you can use them like
Mhm.
that's so innovative like it's all over America. Like, you know, so like we have people now starting to lick the boots of Putin, lick the boots of Russia,
Mhm.
and it's so ironic now that the table has flipped so much.
Mhm.
Democrats are now being more perceived as patriotic, being more freedom, being
Mhm.
more about the laws, and Republicans are being more towards you know these radical ideas, being more towards you know the idea of worshiping dictators and being more pro Russia and being
Mhm.
more pro genocide and being pro war. You know, even though people are like, oh, you know, Trump never started any wars, but he did more bomb strikes during his presidential campaign. He did more bomb strikes than Obama did during his 8 years, did in 4 years. Like
Mhm.
that's insane.
Mhm.
Um, And we don't talk about those things. We don't talk about the amount of fatherless children he gave to the world. Over in Yemen and other Middle Eastern areas.
But we are very grateful that ISIS, right,
Hmm.
was demolished. We're not gonna say eliminated because they are not eliminated, right?
Hmm.
ISIS left. Now we got Al Qaeda again, right? So
Yeah.
mm, we
Yeah.
break something to create something worse, or something in the same extent. But we do want to give that to him. He did demolish ISIS.
Right. But we can argue like were all those attacks coordinated properly, or was he just doing it because he was angry at the brown people?
Hmm.
That's why I see that. Because if you're doing like 40% more, and this is all statistically found, if you're doing like 40, actually, he did 3 times more bomb strikes than Obama did during his campaign, and Obama did like 500 plus bomb strikes in his 8 years. If you're doing 3 times more, which is about like almost over 1,000 more,
Like about 1,500.
yeah, about 1,500, like, what are you like? Where are those strategies coming from? Were there more terrorists during that time?
Hmm.
Maybe, but I want to know like why he thought it was like more important to do 3 times as much bomb strikes and drone strikes than Obama did. That
Maybe show his force. Maybe show because
mm,
it's all about law and order and
yeah.
showing the power that America has and you know
Mm,
not understanding like that costs money. Those are rockets that we
yeah.
pay for
Yeah.
that we can
Yeah. But there are also rockets that have been staying there for like the last 40 years. Because a lot of our rockets are pretty old.
let them be there and we
Yeah.
can use them when they I don't think they have expiration date.
Well, we see.
Technically, they do. Please write down and leave us a comment. What's the expiration date for rockets? Because we are not professional.
I don't think that really matters too much. But if you want to, you can.
But if they don't have expiration date, we don't
Well,
care how long they've been
I
there.
think if we look at Russia, not to say we're talking about the Ukrainian war, but like going off of their weaponry and how it was breaking down during the Ukrainian war, a lot of that stuff was back in the Cold War. I would say like if you're not maintaining it properly, it's gonna break down.
Yeah, but also Russia was lying to us, saying
Yeah,
that they was doing certain things when they wasn't doing those things.
yeah.
They were showing a bigger force of the army that was just like paper,
Yeah.
you know.
And apparently they weren't. Their workers weren't even doing the job.
Exactly, they wasn't properly training
Yeah,
people. They were just acting like they were.
yeah. But they were. But it was older stuff.
Hmm.
They were older tanks and older
Yeah,
like
but they told that
artillery.
we saw them as a superpower when it came
Yeah,
to weaponry
yeah,
because they were telling us we got this, we got that, we doing this, we doing that. Ooh,
yeah.
ooh, don't play with us. And then
Yeah.
when we found out, it's like
If they kept their maintenance, it would definitely have been lower superpower.
oh,
Yeah,
Ukraine wouldn't last a week.
yeah, but yeah, yeah. But we'll
So
get
be thankful. Thank you, Putin, for not taking care of your
for
army.
the competence.
Yes.
But yeah, but talking about Putin, let's not forget how Putin came into power. Putin was the fourth president and the sixth president. He left a term like Joe Biden gave him. He came back and changed the rules so he couldn't be kicked out again.
Again, he
So
was like, I don't want to leave.
yeah, I think before it was 4 years. I think
Hmm.
4 or 6 years for
Hmm.
and technically it's still that, but now he can run indefinitely. So he got rid.
Now he don't have any opponent. Whoever appointed is him is either getting dead or in exile. So
Exiled. They're being poisoned. Or like he'll have like a scapegoat. Like, he'll have a useful idiot on one side who looks like they're gonna win, but he doesn't more like just have a composition, just
mhm.
to make it like a fair election. But then he wins by 80% of the vote, which is it really 80% of the we have like we know it's not 80% of the vote, but he puts those numbers in right. So I feel like if you look at the track of how Putin gained his power, it's very similar to Donald Trump's way of doing it. With the first term, he was setting the building blocks. Left a term, came back, and then became
Well, I don't
the
think,
global
to
leader.
be completely honest, I don't think Donald Trump's mindset can go so far ahead. I don't think he wanted to lose.
Well, I don't think he did it, but I think his advisors definitely thought of it.
Yeah,
I think because like if you have somebody that's so blatantly corrupt, I think you have that people out there who can match his energy.
Donald Trump is not what he had because of himself.
Of course,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want, and I don't want to make it look like Putin was a genius either. I don't think Putin thought all that by himself. I think he was kind of given like the oligarchs out there were giving him those like, hey, if you become global president for the rest of your life, we can benefit from it. So they were all funding him and helping him and stuff.
Well, he was pretty smart because he was in the KU, whatever they call their
Yeah. I can't denounce that, but apparently there's stories about him being a fake,
KG. Is that what they
I
call?
think it's KG, yeah,
Yeah.
KG. Apparently, the way he walks is actually like imitation of the real way they walk. 'Cause they walk with like their arms straight so they can have their hands to their gun at all times. But
Okay.
the way he walks with a limp, so it's a bit like
Hmm.
looks amateurish. So people
Okay.
are saying like his KGB status is kind of like Kind of
Okay.
like people don't believe it. People believe like it's just being like
Yeah.
just being
Yeah, but just being there, you study, right?
yeah.
Other politics, other countries, other
Mhm.
other things. So I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he's not knowledgeable enough to do some research. I give him more credit than Donald Trump, to be completely honest.
I get that. I get that. But there are things like for me, like so. Just to bring it back to Donald Trump, the whole talking point is really well. Bring it back to Kamala Harris. The whole talking point is about like sexism and racism going on in this country. Where like if we want to bring it back all the way to you said before about the scapegoat and how having black men the scapegoat, like like I need them to keep some energy they have for black men and white women and white men. Like now that we have this race where it's so crucial, now that I think media is starting to take it seriously, because media like they hammer it, like you look at all the articles that came up after the Madison Square Garden event, they're now starting to treat Trump like Kamala. Where like we make one mistake, we're gonna highlight that mistake in our titles. Like it's not good for Trump to have all these articles talking about how he's bashing Puerto Ricans, where Puerto Ricans make up like millions of voters in Florida.
Hmm.
There's so many Puerto Ricans around the entire state around the entire United States, and they have strong voting power. Latinos
Hmm.
like 20% of the entire population. They make up a lot of voting power. So I just want to say I'm glad that media is starting to be a little bit more scrutinizing on Donald Trump, but we needed that energy like 4 months ago.
Hmm.
Like we need that from the very beginning because you know like let's just be honest about it. Kamala Harris only had 3 months, 100 days. And she's done so much in 100 days. Like even Michelle Obama said it. Like it's been a flawless campaign. She has overseeded all of our expectations and went higher than that. And I think we have to respect that.
Yeah, but what we expect for a black woman,
What do you mean?
we expect nothing but the best,
Yeah,
right?
I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah,
Right? They got to give 100 times 4 to get
yeah,
somewhere. So,
yeah.
so I did not. That's not something that is like astonished me. I know she could have done it. I know it. Coming from where she comes from, being where she at right now, by being a black woman,
Mhm.
like I can see that.
Yeah, you're saying like because she had to work so hard to get, she was
And nothing was
she's
given
used to
to
it.
her. Yes,
Okay.
she's used to that work.
Hmm.
That's that's her comfort zone.
Yeah, but I don't think it's. I still don't think it's something we should undermine.
We should undermine
Mhm.
it, but it's something that we should expect because
Yeah.
it's there. We know it.
Hmm.
All these other mediocre things happening, but she has to be perfect.
Yeah.
She has to do all of this and still considered to be not educated enough, not smart enough,
Yeah.
not strong enough. Whatever they want to pull on her.
Yeah. Like going back to like when they asked her, like how do you feel about Donald Trump making that comment about if you're black or not? Like, how do you answer that question?
She should not answer those
Well,
questions.
I'm glad she didn't. Unless
Yeah,
she said like next question, same
yeah.
old playbook. But like if you were to seriously think about it, like look at I ask
And
you,
how dare them ask her that
yeah.
question?
Like why did Dana actually know was a good question to ask? That's the first question she like one of the first questions she
Yes,
asked him.
that's the beginning of the beginning.
Yeah, like that was the first 50 minutes of the speech. Her first interview she had as a
Hmm.
presidential
And
candidate.
that's what she wanted to find out.
Like, how do you feel about Donald Trump saying you're not black? It's like if I asked you, Jessica, how do you feel about this guy saying you're not a woman?
Hmm.
Like, what? I have to show you my birth certificate? It's like, oh yeah, this shows I'm a woman, right? Like, it is just a dumb question to ask.
Well, gender nowadays, gender can be a little, it could fluctuate, right?
Hmm.
Gender now, people, we have
But no one should
generation,
question your gender,
but nobody should question your gender. But gender could be more understanding you feel female or not, but nobody should question it.
right?
But black, you cannot come out of that.
Yeah, you can't
You
you
cannot,
can't
you cannot
trans
change
race.
yourself. You
Yeah,
cannot change. Like you can become a Democrat, a Republican. You can become Jewish. You can become a Muslim. You can become all of this. You cannot change
hmm,
your race.
right. Yeah,
Like you cannot.
hmm,
It's given to you.
right.
As soon as they see you,
It's
that's
in your DNA.
it's in your DNA.
Hmm.
So that question shouldn't be. She should ask her, "How do you feel about that?"
But I would feel like there's better ways of doing it than saying, like, having her have the burden of having to answer that question. Because that'd be a question for Donald Trump to answer. Donald Trump, and
Exactly.
when asked that question, Donald Trump backed down to me and said, it wasn't my intention to say that. I didn't know what I was saying at the time. I don't know. But, like, having it be like, because he was insinuating at that point during, when he was in the Black Journalist Association, when he was interviewed by them, that he was insinuating that Kamala Harris never, like, appreciated her black side. She only appreciated her Indian side, which is not true because she went to a historically black college. She went to Harvard University, one of the most blackest colleges ever. She was a part of AKA. Like she wore the AKA
What
colors.
divine nines?
Yeah,
Like, come on,
like
come on.
we know it's a bunch of bullshit. Like them being like, oh, I didn't know she was black until like she was like. We had articles upon articles upon articles of her being the first VP black president.
We don't. I can.
You remember that?
Have you ever been outside the street and be like, I'm black?
Yeah.
Have you ever said that?
You don't have to say that.
You don't have to say
Yeah.
that. Like, I don't think she needed to say that.
Right. It's not like it's not it's not like Kamala Harris is white passing.
Exactly. She
Kamala Harris is not white
well,
passing.
she didn't need to say that. Maybe she needed to say that she was Indian because you barely couldn't know.
I didn't know Kamala Harris was Indian.
I did not know she was Indian either.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what she needed to emphasize. Be like, yeah, I also have
Yeah.
Indian heritage. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's what needed. But black, I don't think nobody would have questioned
No
that.
one questioned that she was black. And
Are
then,
you sure you black?
yeah.
Like, nobody would have said that.
And then we have like what's her name? Lola Loomer, that like crazy like right winger, the one who was with Donald Trump telling him about the
like
eating cat and dogs.
allegedly his girlfriend.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
We're not gonna do a whole novela here.
No,
Okay,
I don't know. I heard articles about it, but I don't know if they're dating. I don't know.
Allegedly.
There was that one picture where like Donald Trump was holding her by the waist, but I don't know a lot about that. I don't know anything about that. But good comment to make overall. But she did say that if that Kamala Harris won, the White House will smell like curry. And I'm like, this is so blatantly racist towards Indians. But like then like JD Vance's wife is Indian.
Mm-hmm.
Like what are we doing here? You could have made the black comment because you could not say we should, but we could have made the black comment because no one on your side has anyone that is supporting black people. Byron Donalds, he I don't want to say the word, I won't say the C word, but he is aligned with them. He doesn't care about his black color. We have other people who are part of Republicans who gave away their black card in order to gain power. They sacrificed their souls for power, right? Like her making a comment about Indians and curry, it just shows you that she doesn't really care about anyone else besides her white constituents. And like the fact that we have someone like JD Vance who can't even defend his wife. Well, all you can say is clearly she's not white. That's all you can say about his wife. He can't defend her. He can't be like, oh, she's a brilliant person. She's a good mother. I don't care about her race. All I care about is the fact she's my wife. Anyone who makes those comments are horrible people. He can't because he knows his core base are a bunch of racist assholes.
Exactly.
And all they want to do is belittle people who aren't their skin color. And no one has any like if we're gonna talk about Donald Trump deporting millions of illegal immigrants, migrants, right? I want someone to be that Donald Trump. One, how are you gonna get rid of these guys? Are you going to go knock door to door and ask for IDs, birth certificates? You're going to inconvenience Americans and have them give you birth certificates? Because
are you gonna pay for us? Because that's $15, and sometimes it takes up to 3 weeks, 4 weeks to get them.
Well, technically, at least in New York, you're legally supposed to have an ID. If you don't have an ID in New York,
Yeah, but your ID doesn't say where you stay, where you
Well, I think you can only get a state ID if you're a citizen.
No,
Yeah.
no. There's a bunch of legal immigrant here that don't have any status. Yeah, but don't have any status that still have an ID. Like from having a working permit, a working permit, they get ID.
Okay.
You don't have to be a citizen to have an ID. You can be well, not a citizen. How you call the other one? A resident. You can be a working like seasonal working illegal. That they just come for certain months and they go back to their country.
Yeah, but isn't that like a green card or like a visa?
No, you get like an ID, like a working ID.
So I had no idea.
Yeah, you can have IDs without, or city ID. People can't have city ID.
So your argument is like even if they had IDs, they wouldn't prove it if they're citizens.
Oh. So how are you gonna go by colors? Cause we out.
If you go by colors, it's tough.
We could.
Because like you go to the Springfield thing, like we're talking about how Haitian migrants were eating cat and dog, and then some guy on Twitter posted a black man holding a duck, and they weren't even Haitian, they weren't even in Springfield, they were in a different part of Ohio. Mm-hmm. Like if that black man's getting caught up being Haitian, and he's not even Haitian. Mm-hmm. What are they gonna do to us? When they gotta visit?
Yeah, they drop us all in the right island.
What are they gonna send us to Venezuela? I've already said we're going to Venezuela.
Nah, we are too dark for that.
It's like good for Haitians.
Drop me off and Trinidad if we right there. Just cross me over.
I'm just saying that like if we're gonna give Trump this microphone, we gotta have accountability.
We have to.
If this person's gonna be like, oh, we should deport all illegal immigrants from this country. Honestly, you want to get rid of immigrants too, but we'll start with illegal immigrants, which make up a million people in this country, right? Mm-hmm. How are you going to find illegal immigrants? Mm-hmm. And how are you going to deport so many in such a short period of time?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to put them in camps?
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna fill them up in trucks and trains and send them over to different parts of the country? Where are you gonna send them? Who's going to pay for this?
Mm-hmm.
And my tax dollars going to go to hunting down these children and mothers and parents who are trying to live the American dream?
Mm-hmm.
Like what are we really doing? Yeah,
Are we gonna need more police people to do that? Like, are we
exactly.
gonna train them to have a picture of like what an immigrant looks
Yeah,
like? Like,
yeah,
give you a spice? Can you handle
yeah.
your
We
spice?
put a bounty on them. Like what?
Exactly. Can you say your arse? Let me see you.
Yeah.
Nope. Sweat it.
So
Like.
yeah, and like more than that, like who's gonna take over these jobs?
Mm,
Because they talk about like, oh, immigrants are ruining our job system, but like they're taking over all the shitty jobs. They're doing those contracting work where they're only being paid $10 an hour. Where they're doing
mm-hmm.
these blacklisted black book jobs. Who's
Mm-hmm.
going to be doing all the plumbing that none of us want to do? Who's going to be doing all of the agriculture that no one want to do? Because there was
All the farming that nobody want to do.
no one wants to do that anymore. So who's going to do all those jobs? So you're talking about, how we don't need immigrants. We're like immigrants, like I said before, they're the backbone of America. These illegal immigrants, these regular, legalized immigrants, they're the ones who brought back wealth. When you go back to Springfield, Springfield was a dying cesspool of just white people. And then when Haitians came, because Haiti right now is going through, they're
Mm-hmm.
tweaking out Haiti, and they came over with legal residencies to come to Haiti to be protected class.
And the state was
They
like, "Come to us. We need you."
they brought economy back to Springfield. They made it because of all of them being willing to work and do these other jobs that other people weren't doing. Or
Mm-hmm.
they were underfunded, undersupplied. No one wanted to go to Springfield. They had to go somewhere else. There was like a little bit of a brain drain going on in
Mm-hmm.
Springfield, where all the wealthy people were leaving to do bigger, better jobs in other bigger cities in
Mm-hmm.
Ohio. So it just it's just hard for me to be able to be like, hey, this is why I want to do double standards talk. This is why I want to make this for that because there's so many obvious parts in our country that shows double standard, and no one's taking it seriously, or no one with power taking it seriously, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like it takes like a Charlemagne the God, it takes like a Roland Martin, it takes like a Native Land Pocket to really go into the trenches and dig deep into these
And
talking
still, they're
points.
not like the main core media.
They're
Like,
not the for me. That's the thing. Anyone with
that
power.
makes them uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Because also we have to think about who the media is giving that, right? If you're not part of it and you don't see it because you concentrate on what you experience this, which the media should not concentrate on that, but they are doing that.
Hmm.
What you experience this, like you don't think it's real. You
Hmm.
think like only a couple of percentages. That's why people need. We need more representation in the media. We shouldn't have only Joy Reid in there. We should have a bunch of Joy Reids in there. So when your counterpart says something, I can check you. Be like, no, sweetie, that's not
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah.
Because if nobody looks like us, how they gonna represent us? They don't have our experience. They don't
Yeah.
understand. They don't talk to people that look like
Yeah,
us.
and we need to make sure they're actually like us because we have we have like wolves in sheep clothing in Fox where we have like someone like Harris Faulkner who
Mm-hmm.
is a black woman, but she's a puppet for white men. Like she's a puppet for white racism.
You know what Donald Trump said? He said he wants more general, like what Hitler had.
Yeah, he wants to be a dictator for day one. What does that mean,
Only
dictator?
for one day,
Mhm.
guys. Let's do a poll. Who thinks Donald Trump is gonna be a dictator for one day, and on the second day said, "Here it goes. I don't want it no more."
Right.
Come on,
Like
come
like
on.
like that just goes to show, and the fact that he doubles down every time someone asks him like, "Do you mean dictator?" Like dictator, like yeah, I mean dictator.
He goes, "Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
All the power for one day."
When you say a rough day, do you mean like a rough like purge? Yeah, I
He's
mean
like meaning killing people.
I mean, we need to have these thugs be hunted down by like
And when he said dogs, you know what he's talking about,
yeah,
right?
he means us.
He means us.
Not only black people, he means any immigrant. He means anybody who is quote unquote likely to commit a crime.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And it's also mentioning you guys, Latinos out here, that
yeah,
just don't forget.
yeah. Yeah, because we do have disparities going on. I know right now, as a Latin man, I'll say it right now. I am a Dominican man. There are Hispanic men out there who are voting in droves for Donald Trump. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to tell you how to vote because I thought that's not
Mm-hmm.
democratic. You vote the way you want to vote, but like really think about who you're voting for.
Mm-hmm.
Think about like is Donald Trump really for for Hispanics? The way he treats Mexicans, the way he treated Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico had that horrible hurricane that destroyed most of its rainforest when he went out there throwing napkins at Puerto Ricans.
Bounty like this so they can dry it up. I
Yeah,
guess he wanted them to
dry up
dry
their
up.
tears. I don't know.
No.
What are you trying to do with that? Giving them napkins when he went to Puerto Rico. Like we have to really be honest about these things. Do we want this man to be the person who represents us? You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you don't like Kamala Harris, I get it. If you don't want to vote, I'd rather you vote for Kamala Harris. But if you don't want to vote, just sit this one out. Like if you're going to vote Donald Trump and you don't want to vote, Sit this one out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanna go and make a change, I really recommend thinking about Kamala Harris, thinking about maybe going for her because she is someone who can really do a difference for us. She's the one
Mm-hmm.
who wants to help. Most homeowners are white people. She wants to make a plan to help that helps homeowners, first time homeowners, gain these benefits. If they have a good paying record, they have a good credit score.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something that will benefit only migrants because they have a lower turnout of homeowning.
Yeah, but then we gotta talk about
Mhm.
that little number,
Mm.
right? Like the credit score.
Yeah.
But that should be in another podcast.
Well, I think hers was if you have a year of consistent rent paying,
Yeah.
which is something I think.
That's different than like when you're saying your
Yeah,
credit score.
I will like because I think credit scores. I said that by mistake. I think her policy was if you have a year of consistent rent paying, which was
Okay.
something
That makes more sense.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's important.
That's important, yeah.
I think if you can show consistency paying off your rent, then you deserve to have a home. If you can't pay your rent, then why are you buying a home?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I think that makes sense. But then, obviously there's systemic things for that as well. Black people were given less opportunities. They were built into poverty and had to kind of climb up since the since since the after the Civil War happened. During the construction era, people they weren't giving opportunities to grow and they had to
Even since the
had
Civil
to
War,
toil.
yeah, since
Yeah.
the
Yeah. So I get that, but we are reaching an hour and 30 minutes. We're at 1 hour and 26.
hmm
So do you want to go over one more time or do you want to kind of start ending it here?
I feel like we should just like go overall because
Okay.
it would take us a while to go to one topic. I know our last topic was law and order
Yeah.
accountability, and I feel like we did talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because my last topic was gonna
Oh, the Holocaust and Donald Trump.
yeah, I think we can hold off on that maybe for a mini
Hmm.
podcast or something like that. Just because that one, I know you're a little bit you like we shouldn't talk about that one, so maybe we'll hold off on that.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant towards that one because that's a lot.
Yeah, so we can hold off on that one for now. I just thought it was a little important now that we brought up Hitler. Now that we have a lot of we have General John Kelly talking about how he is a fascist, how he wanted these before he wanted Hitler soldiers or soldiers like Hitler, and had to be educated that Hitler soldiers wanted to assassinate Hitler. But oh, they weren't dead loyal to him. No, they hated him. They
Yeah.
hated his guts, right?
Also, guys,
Mhm.
all the people that work for the Donald Trump
Campaign.
campaign and the Donald Trump White House and all of that.
Mhm.
I do appreciate you guys coming out now saying how horrible he was, how horrible he was, all the things he did
Oh, the administration.
in administration, all of that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, but I think it's a little bit too late.
They
You guys
could have done
should.
it before early
They
voting.
could. You guys could have done it earlier. You
Yeah.
guys could have done this in on June 6th.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, July 6th. Sorry,
January 6th.
you guys could have done this on January 6th,
Yeah.
right? The 7th, the 8th,
Mm-hmm.
last year, the year before.
Yeah.
You guys have all this time to do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And now you guys are coming out to say, okay, I don't want to be part of politics. If you really felt that this guy is trying to be Hitler,
Yeah.
and you really felt how bad he was for this country, and you consider yourself to be a patriot, like you say you are, you should have come up with this information way months ago.
Yeah. No,
Now wait to buy a book. Now wait to get none of this endorsed. You should have came up with that. That's your fixed duty to do.
yeah.
As right, I remember that took an oath.
Yeah. To the Constitution.
So I'm gonna say it. Shame on you.
No, I agree. Like now knowing that General John Kelly knew about this for over 4 years, he knew that I don't know when Donald Trump made these comments. I don't know what year he made it because he was there for 4 years.
You could see his face all the time. He was in a meeting with Donald Trump. He would just look at it like, oh my God, look at this idiot.
Yeah, but the fact that he was making comments about wanting to have cabinet soldiers like Hitler, wanting to why don't we just shoot them? The
Mhm.
people were protesting because yeah, he said that during the protesting of the 2020 protests going on after those horrible Black deaths that happened that year. He was like, why don't we just shoot them?
Which remember that what he did to take a picture with the Bible,
Yeah,
he took all of them back. We don't talk about that. All the gas that right, there was in bullets, but
yeah,
intimidation that
yeah.
people cannot protest. There was like 2 streets behind the White House, and he
Hmm.
pushed them back just because he wanted to make a point
Yeah,
and take a picture with a Bible upside down.
yeah, yeah. So it just
Shame on you.
this episode really is just supposed to be an episode where we talk about our perspective on things. How America really failed people who aren't white. Like I feel like
All the time.
to me, I feel like if we have someone like this, like Donald Trump, who's this close to getting presidency again after he had an abysmal try, after he had to ride the coattails of a black president, and now has to, face this consequence again. Like, I will say Democrats should have been more prepared for this.
Hmm.
Democrats should have had outlined years in advance. We should not have had to have this, switcheroo happening in August. Like,
Hmm.
it should have been a lot cleaner because that does create some scrutiny, some like scrutiny on Republicans. Like, was this fair? Was it fair for Kamala Harris to become president electee without getting any of the primary votes? My argument would be, if it's legal, it's fair.
Hmm.
It's legal for her to be able to swap in. The president gave his endorsement to her.
Hmm.
She's good to go.
Hmm.
But in my mind, I just feel like Trump is the most dangerous man we had elected
Hmm.
for since for a long ass time. Since the Civil War, since that other guy wanted to become president. I
Hmm.
forgot his name. I think it's like John Andrews. Whatever.
Hmm.
Um, so I just want to say that I'm glad you guys are here to hear it
Hmm.
out. We're hoping to do this every week, at least 2 episodes every single week. Sundays and Thursdays. And we're trying to have a new topic every week. We're having a new topic point to talk about.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm really stoked about this. I hope you guys all end up voting. We only have a couple days left. I think
Yeah, 7 days.
yeah, at time of recording, it's been a Tuesday, so we only have 7 days left. It's right now the 29th of October. So if you guys have not voted, register to vote yet,
Hmm.
maybe it might be a little too late to register to vote now. Maybe you can do like, maybe you can still encourage other people to vote who haven't registered to vote.
Please make sure you vote. Make sure you talk to your family members. This is very important. Let's support, like, as I'm gonna speak after myself as being, I consider myself to be a black woman.
Mm,
Like, let's support her. Let's give her a chance. We
mm,
always have given the chance to this Caucasian, you know, male.
mm,
Let's change it, right? What's the worst? I'm gonna use a little bit of Donald Trump. What's the worst that can happen?
yeah,
Right? Like, let's give her a chance. If we're able to give a chance to all these people, we're still trying to give a chance to Donald Trump after we know what a horrible person he is,
yeah,
individual. Let's give her a chance, right?
yeah,
And then next time we can figure things out again. But why not?
yeah.
Let her do her thing. She
And,
deserves it.
and to add to that, like before, Kamala Harris is the most overqualified candidate we've had in modern day history.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she has represented us as a middle class person, as a person who has done
Mm-hmm.
all these normal things, working in McDonald's, going to college, doing these simple things that we know Trump has not done.
Mm-hmm.
He has not worked in McDonald's, even though he wants to pretend like he
No, he
has.
did went to work at McDonald's for an hour.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
a closed McDonald's where
Yeah.
paid actors come in and take food, regardless. So and even then, like, it doesn't represent the average person having to work there for their whole lives to pay off their 2 kids and all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what he did, even if it were to be true, it is a small blip in how much they have to struggle as workers.
Mm-hmm.
All he's doing is just showing all he's doing is playing that it's an easy job
Mm-hmm.
because it's having this 89-year-old man doing this work.
Mm-hmm.
But 89-year-old man can do it. These kids shouldn't be struggling, but they'd be paid less because they're doing 89-year-old man's work. Like,
And we have to understand that McDonald's is open from morning to night.
yeah,
And these are people jobs,
8
like have to
hours. Oh,
support their whole family. We
mm,
thinking about the kids in front, but we're not talking about the older people in the back,
yeah.
right? So yeah.
Yeah, whatever his stunt was to do that, I don't get why he did it. I don't get the benefit of it. I feel like he's just giving his constituents more reason to not want to give him a higher wage than minimum wage.
Yeah. Yeah.
But regardless, to end it with the positivity, if Kamala Harris were to win, and I believe she will win, this is going to open the floodgates for more people who don't just look like white men to become presidents.
Or anything, achieve anything they want to do in the politic world,
Yeah,
probably in the media world,
yeah,
anything, like our kids. Like,
yeah,
this representation matters. This is important for our little girls. Like, I have a little girl, like, I want her to see this. I want her to see herself. I want her to understand that she lives in a country that do see her, that
yeah.
do believe in her
Represents her.
and represents her.
Mm.
So let's do it, guys. We can do it.
Yeah, vote in all parts of the election.
Don't forget,
Vote for your
exactly.
senator, vote for your House representative, vote for your president. Make sure we get this completely blue. Right now there's talks about us losing the Senate, but with things going on right now with Ted Cruz and Colin Allred, I believe we can win the Senate and at least make it 50-50, hopefully.
Let's give her a chance. Let's
Yeah,
give her a real chance.
yeah, give her all
Let's
six.
give her the Senate. Let's give her the House, and let's give her the White House. Come
Yeah,
on, we
yeah,
can do it.
yeah. So thank you guys for being here. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And
Yeah.
listening on YouTube, please give it a like, give it a subscription as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said before, chat.
Subscribe.
Yeah. Make sure you get Jessica, she wanted to know when weapons biodegrade, so let her know when they degrade.
Yes, please.
So we can
And any comment you guys want to write is more than welcome. Just be, kind.
Yeah.
We're not here to make anybody feel bad or anything like that. We're just giving our thoughts, and we just, regular people trying to let our voice be heard, because we believe we can.
This podcast will be uploaded to other parts as well. We're hoping to get on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. So if you guys are just on these areas, please feel free to give it 5 stars. Feel free to comment. If you're on SoundCloud, also comment, give it a like as well, so we can all know you guys are hearing us and you guys are hearing your voices be heard. We're gonna try to look at all these outlets, make sure we give you guys a chance to speak up.
Yeah, and support, and we appreciate it. Hopefully, we can come. We're trying to do a podcast for election night, or mini or something. So let's hope it's not a sad one.
Yeah, I hope it's not a sad one. But we'll be back.
We'll be back. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day and be great. Don't forget, you matter. Okay.
Please don't.